Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be breaking down Baller League Game Week 1 in Season 2. So this season started off with quite a good game. 26ers guided by John Terry played against Yanited, who were guided by Angry Ginge. And it was right there from the off. Early on, Bilal Sayed uses athleticism and his body really well to create a bit of space for Rowe. Rowe goes for a 50-50, it falls in his path, takes it onto that right foot and buries it into the top right corner, near post for him, and it was a really nice finish, just a really good bit of physical play. And then the dominance kept happening. 26ers kept going. It just didn't go in, hit the post quite a few times, and then goal number 2 came from the game changer, which was +1. And it obviously starts off with 1v1 as well as the goalkeepers, and United's player was pushing forward and Jardel Stone put a brilliant challenge in, got all the ball clean through, and then he used his body to get himself into a goal scoring position, and one-on-one he slots it through the keeper's legs. And there we go, going into half time, 2-0 up for the 26ers, and United are really struggling. They haven't got the same intensity as John Terry's team, and they are really just holding on. What amount of times that post was hit, and even Max Pittman had so much to do. United didn't really challenge the 26ers goalkeeper too much, and a lot was needed to be done in the second half. And it didn't start off well because it was a penalty which Bilal Sayed took around the keeper and slotted in calmly. Lovely little body feint to create himself that space to tap past the goalkeeper. Brian Lee then took things into his own hands by scoring a penalty, and then to make it 3-2 to get a late goal back was John Bostock, who low-driven shot into the bottom right corner, and that made it 3-2. So United won that second half. 26ers won the first half, and 26ers was just better in the first half than United were in the second half. So although 26ers dropped off, their performance in the first half managed to keep them in contention for the 3 points, and they ended up getting the 3 points. So with United, it was very clear that they were missing their best player, who did go to SDS, Valerte. There was a lack of physicality. Bilal Sayed was running laps around them. There was a lack of intensity and I think decision making as well. Brian Lee obviously got his first goal in United colours, but I thought there was points where he could have pulled it back, where he kind of forced his shot. Obviously nervous in new colours, but obviously he has to be a little bit calmer on the ball, a bit more composed, because there was chances where he made the wrong decision. I think yesterday was like all about intensity and decision making, and that is exactly what Valerte, who went to SDS, brought to the team. So they are really clearly missing Valerte with because Valerte made the right pass 9 out of 10 times. He would win the ball back. He would be all over the pitch. 26 is just hit on the counter attack. United will lose the ball up the pitch, and then Bilal Sayed will be running, and it will just be United chasing shadows really. So it was really poor for United, and it was a performance they wouldn't be particularly proud of. Obviously scoring 2 goals, one of them being a penalty, it's right, but it's not groundbreaking stuff, and it's early in the season, so you can't take everything from game week 1. But considering they started so well this time in season 1, game week 1, and they went on a really good run, it's a shame that they couldn't kick off the campaign with a win. But 26ers were very unlucky last season, had decisions against them, and it just wasn't really working, and players missing. But they look really complete, and I think I've already talked about United, but how intense they were. They could have been 4 or 5 up in the first half again. Even when they were unlucky this time, they still managed to get a win. They just need to make sure they don't drop off in that second half. But a really positive performance, a really athletic performance. They were up and down, putting a lot of energy into the match, and the goals were really good, and the goals were literally physical play. As I said, the first one was winning the 50-50. Bilal Sayed shoulder barging a few players out the way and then flicking it off to Rowe, and then it was a really good finish. So I think Terry's really built that team around using your body to full effect and going into challenges with the intent to win it, and United just didn't have that exact same intensity. My man of the match would have to be Jardel Stone, just for that brilliant goal he scored, where he just shoved the United players just trying to get around him. He couldn't, and used his body really well to give him all the time that he needed to finish. So man of the match, Darnell Sterling, big win for 26ers, and they go top of the league. So this is N5 versus NDL, and N5 finished last season. NDL are kind of newish team, and Nico Milano took over a team who didn't have a manager but had the same kind of basis and the core of the squad. So kind of half new, half not, if you want to think about it like that. N5 last season finished rock bottom, and it was like, can we play you every week? Because they would just lose every single week. But it's a fresh start. They had a completely new squad, and this is why I was really excited that I was obviously in the stadium yesterday. I was like, this is the game I want to tune into, because also the Lose had to leave the stadium in a coffin. So yeah, it was Nico Milano had to leave in a coffin, and it was a fresh team. It looked really different to last season. The vibe was really different for N5, and they kicked off the season exactly how you want to prove a point that this is a new season and the past is the past. Because Nikaj did an incredible run. N5 were just following him, and they couldn't get the ball off him. Cut across, ball goes across, and Jack Young, the man who they brought in, who's meant to be this really good player, and he did exactly what he did. Right place, right time, and an incredible finish as well. Just it's easy to get the finishes wrong. Came across it with quite fast speed, but he just didn't overcomplicate it. Tapped home, really nice. But Nick Arge's run, incredible. Just mazy, really mazy, and really hard to get the ball off him. And then NDL kept pushing. It was a lack of clinicality. It was a missed penalty. As Bellard for NDL, took an extra touch round, and he kind of slipped, and the keeper smothered it up. Great save by Alex McCarthy. And then Alex McCarthy ended up not long after getting an assist. He went all the way long, and it was a great touch by Fisher, who touched it, first time touch. He's in a good position to finish, and of course he did finish. So it was incredible over, looped over, touched by Fisher, and yeah, didn't overcomplicate it, found the bottom corner. So at this point, it's 2-0. N5 are absolutely, running away with it. Simple performance, really effective, really strong defensively, a really good performance from McCarthy so far, making good saves. And then it kind of goes wrong a little bit here with Amin Sassi, who has a shot from this quite wide, and then NDL they put the pressure on as M5 struggled to get it clear away. Amin Sassi was really good yesterday as well, one of the bright sparks for NDL. Tackles, and he just, tackles the M5 defender who thought he had way more time than he did, and he puts it back across, and Tyler Winters that is there, and that's the first goal for Tyler Winters of maybe quite a few this season. He's a good goal scorer, Tyler Winters. And then that's 2-1, and NDL are, kind of hanging on, and then it's finished as Amin Sassi is caught out by Young, and then kind of stalls for a minute. Young kind of gets, keeper comes out, makes himself big, which kind of slows it all down. It looks like the attack is over, but it ends up blocking, kind of getting blocked, and it ends up falling for Nikaj, who buries it into the corner. So it kind of bounces around the box, lots of block shots, and eventually Nikaj takes it into his own hands to score. So it ends up being N5 3, NDL 1, and to say NDL didn't look great yesterday. They were not taking their chances very well. They were kind of overcomplicated it. N5 defended very well, but to be fair to NDL, McCarthy was incredible, and he was my man of the match for this game. He made some incredible saves into the, which a few shots would go heading right into the corner. It looked like it was about to go in. Brilliant stop. And yeah, NDL were kind of just lacking that clinicality at the end of the day. N5 were strong defensively, but there was chances where they had to score, and they should have scored. Especially with the penalty, you've got to be scoring those penalties, and you can't be messing around like that. And Nico would be very disappointed. They obviously had a Prem baller in there who came on, took a free kick and left. So yeah, it was all a little bit, not right for NDL, and M5 went out there and made a statement from the first minute, which Nikaj did that running behind. By the way, Nikaj is very unlucky to not get man of the match for that incredible run and incredible finish right at the end. And no one else wanted to put the ball into the net. He's like, right, it's bouncing around all around the goal. Let me just slam it home, and he did slam it home. So Nikaj was very close to man of the match, but it had to be Alex McCarthy. But yeah, N5 took their chances well. NDL didn't, and simple as that. This is a new look M5, and it's really, really good. Now this is a brilliant game, just because obviously got lots of ex-footballers, and it's a little battle, a little bit of rivalry, you know, giving it large. It's obviously Depper Trio, managed by Michael Richards and Daniel Sturridge, and it was Ian Wright and Alan Shearer for Wembley Rangers, and they were constantly these pairs. They were giving it to each other. It was really entertaining on the touchline, and the game started from early with Lansbury's free kick deflecting, and then it fell for Niassi, former Everton player, a wild card they brought in, and it kind of just ended up in. The keeper looked like he had it in his hands, but he must have had a bit too much power. It just rolled in. Kind of, you just saw the ball kind of fall behind the goalkeeper and roll in. So a little bit of a goalkeeper mistake there for Wembley Rangers, but that put Depatrio ahead, and then this is where this time Wembley Rangers like into full effect, and it was Kanadu. I don't know if I butchered that, but he was brilliant today, and this goal was brilliant. He picks up in the middle of the pitch, opens his body up, does an incredible ball roll, sends two of the Depatrio players to the shop. They're looking away now, and it was a composed finish, effortless finish, and he did everything so quickly and so effortlessly. On that left, ball roll onto the right, bury it. Incredible. Kanadu was so good today, and it was a really good goal. So if you have got time in your day, go out there and watch it, because it was so good. The way he just picked up, he casually just took 2 or 3 players out of the game and created so much space for himself, and the finish was brilliant as well. So calm and so effortless, and the celebration was just brilliant. It was just boff. It was boff. What can I say? And then it goes to the game changer, obviously +1, which means you start off with goalkeeper, outfielder, goalkeeper, outfielder. So kind of 2v2 or 1v1 with goalkeepers, and then obviously that kind of gives you that 1 or 2 goals. And it kind of opens it up, and it was given to Wembley Rangers as TM was offered too much time. Depatrio didn't really get out to him, and Czech TM just buried it. He had too much time. I don't know why he wasn't closed down. And then obviously that means another player comes onto the pitch, so it's 2v2 and a goalkeeper, so it's 3v3 with 2 outfielders and a goalkeeper versus 2 outfielders and a goalkeeper. And again, this is where the game is kind of opened up, and this was made 3-1 because it was Kamara who, this time Kamara was closed down, but it closed down a little bit too much because the shot went, it deflected, and it ended up rolling in. So again, a bit fluky and a little bit unlucky for Depatrio. But to be fair, Depatrio had a bit of luck for their first goal with a goalkeeper error. So Wembley Rangers deserve that bit of luck, and you make your own luck. And Depatrio didn't use the +1 game changer enough, and that kind of separated it. And then Depatrio did give it right to the end with Francis Polo not mistaken with a penalty. Powerful shot into the left side of the goal, and it ended up 3-2. So Ian Wright and Alan Shearer win this one. And I thought, in terms of the two teams, as an overall assessment for the match, I'm looking at Depatrio first. I'll say that they were good. They were a little bit slow in areas. I thought that, they were kind of, obviously, they were a team which keep bringing, kind of elderly players. I know it sounds a bit rude, but, obviously you've got teams which play with the 25-year-olds, the 29-year-olds, 28-year-olds. That's the kind of average age of the squad. And when you bring in a 39-year-old and 35-year-olds as your wild card, you're not going to have that pace in the team. And that was what it was, kind of a bit too slow to get back. You could tell they were really trying, really working hard, but they just couldn't get that pace. Wembley Rangers, again, a newer squad and some really good, gems in there which weren't playing in season 1, which are now in the squad. Really, really encouraging stuff. Again, Depatrio were good. I wouldn't say they were bad. I don't think they played badly. I think they deserved to lose, but I didn't think there was like alarm bells they were bad. And I don't think Wembley Rangers were great. I think they were both good, and I think Depatrio could have swung the other way. Depatrio was a bit, Wembley Rangers kind of rode their luck a bit at points. So these two teams, I'm not, both of them from the first week, compelled by them. These two teams don't look like they're going to win the title, and you can tell it was a little bit of a fluky game, and I wasn't impressed with either. But both teams good. I don't think they'll be near the bottom. Maybe they could challenge for that 4th place spot, but I just think, Depatrio had a bit of a drop off to last season. I've seen way better performances in season 1, and they have to step up. But Wembley Rangers look good. Both teams look good, decent. Can't complain. And man of the match will be Kanudu, and just for that incredible goal. Used sat in the middle of the pitch, turned out of trouble, and was very good with both feet. So a strong performance for Wembley Rangers, and every game matters. So good 3 points. Now SDS played versus Vision, and this is a bit of a YouTube battle. Obviously, SDS is run by Sharky, he's part of the beta squad, and Vision is run by Toby, who is part of Sidemen. And it was a very high scoring game, entertaining, constant action, and I think the best game of the night, if I was to say so myself. And the game starts with a ball lofted over the top. Hafed makes himself big, and it's just a really nice finish. To be fair, not much the keeper could do. It was Parker for Vision, who just kind of needed a tiny little touch just to direct it past the SDS goalkeeper Hafed, and it ended up kind of rolling in. But yeah, all it needed was the faintest touch, just guide its way to change the direction of the ball, and it works. It was a really nicely worked goal, and that made it 1-0. And it was tight, it was cagey, and you wouldn't think it finished 4-4 when it was like 1-0 in the 12th minute going to the game changer. But obviously, game changer was 3-play, which is 3v3, and this is one of my favorites. Kind of opens it up. I love a bit of 3-play, and Velerte, this is a brilliant bit of skill from Velerte, as he has the ball here, and obviously you got Vision had the goalkeeper, and then a player marking the right hand side of the player marking the other player on the left hand side, and then one of the players kind of rushed over to try to get the ball off Velerte. It was a bit silly. I think they should kind of kept a bit of composure, and Velerte kind of turned him, which is exactly what I talked about United. United missed that player who could use both feet, or could cover distance, and had a good agility. And Velerte here showed his agility and showed how two-footed he was. He managed to take the ball away from the oncoming rushing up Vision player, and then that left that right hand side free for Sterling. And Sterling did what Sterling did and found the bottom corner off the post and in, and that point is 1-1, and it's going to half time. 1-1. It looks like here Vision is slowing it down, kind of happy to go into half time with a draw. But just as it goes on 14:57 seconds, and the comes out of nowhere, presses Camilo, and Combo actually caught out. He kind of thinks he has a little bit too much time. He's kind of in that halftime mode already, and he gets tackled, and the tackle from Camilo was so powerful that it just sent the ball go flying in, rolling into the net. And again, it was a bit of fluky, but it was a brilliant watch, because the Vision player come back short. His head was in half time already. He was too relaxed. Out come Camilo. He saw the opportunity to maybe get the ball off him and just try to get something before half time. And he was awake, Camilo, which is kind of sums up the player that he is. He's always looking. He plays to the whistle, and yeah, he tackles it. And the tackle was so strong that it just rolled into the empty net. And it's how quickly in 3-play the attack can change to defense. It was obviously kind of a bit of a crazy goal, that one. So that means at this point it was 2-1, and then it was a penalty. Obviously 3 corners equals a penalty, so they got a penalty, and it was El Mahani. As a great stop from HG, the goalkeeper, who makes himself really big, spreads himself, and blocks it with his upper chest. Brilliant save. Simple, but kind of goes into a bit of a nightmare. Obviously, he gets pressed, and he goes to play it to the right hand side, and out comes El Mahani to get his revenge. He's like, "You saved my penalty, I'm gonna press you," and he presses, and the ball, he kind of plays it. Maybe Hafed plays it a little bit too late, and he plays it too late. So he plays it, and then jumping in front is El Mahani, who just managed to get a little leg on it, blocks it, and ends up rolling into SDS's net. So the first game week had a lot of kind of fluky, lucky goals, but there is a goal in a bit which we'll get onto, which is an absolutely just a stunner. So don't worry, not every goal this game week was just the ball rolling in out of nowhere and mistakes. And there was a brilliant goal, and I'll get onto it in a few games time. That came in the last game, and we'll get onto that. So that point it's 3. At that point it is 3-2 because obviously Sterling had just scored a penalty before this, and so the goals were, it was 3-2 up for the SDS. Sterling made it 3-1, and then with the penalty, and then Halfhead was caught out to make it 3-2, and then we're going to the last 3 minutes. Brilliant! It's 1-on-1. That's the game changer. It's a high action game, and it's El Mohani who scores, hits into the roof of the net for the first go at it, and the second chance he has on the 1-on-1 was the where he finished it to the bottom left corner, so kind of changing us up, kind of making it unpredictable which way he's going, and he scores both of them. So now it's 4-3 out of nowhere in like a minute and a half. Vision have completely stole the 3 points, which is what the game change is all about, to open the play and really make it entertaining. And then it was Alfie Matthews with the last shot of the game. This was the last chance, obviously, of the 1-on-1, and he finds the top left corner after he missed the previous 1 or 2. He's like, no, listen, I want another chance, and this is his last chance to try to steal a point, and he scored. And Vision, as the game overall, it was a brilliant game, but if you look at them separately, Vision were really, really intense. They pressed high. Last season, they kind of backed off a little bit too much, tried to be a bit of counter-attacking, but today they were intense, and they got 2 big chances from their pressing, so it clearly worked very well, and one of them they scored, one of them they missed. SDS were good. I think it was one of those games where they're good. They played against a good team, in fairness, so I don't think there was anything wrong with their performance. I thought they just caught Vision on a bad day, and that whoever's playing Vision would have found it really hard to do anything. And obviously a few individual mistakes, but at the same time maybe could be working a little bit better as a team. And yeah, they didn't use that 1-on-1. So I think if they use those game changes well, if they use the second half game changer as well as they used the first half game changer, they would have been fine. So I don't think you can put it down to individual mistakes when SDF didn't use the game changer well. And I think a draw definitely sums up the game to full effect. So I think Vision looked really impressive after last season. They were a little bit, meh, all right, good at points, a bit inconsistent, but at the same time, a bit consistently average. But that was a really, really exciting performance from them, and there's a lot more to come from them this season. I also forgot to say the man of the match for that second game was Mwani. Brilliant hat trick. I have to give it to him. So that's that. Had to mention that. El Mwani, man of the match for him in that game. Moving on to this game, Rockers FC. Obviously, Idris Elba, actor, and MVPs United, run by Maya Jama and Alicia Lehman. Alicia Lehman was not in attendance today. Maya Jama was, and it was good to see a new team, fresh faces. I like it a lot. Obviously, this is a big game, obviously, because Rockers' first ever game in Baller League, and this is how it went. They played decent. MVPs were structured. Were not taking risks in that first half, and it kind of went into that game changer at 0-0. Quite boring, but I think sometimes the boring games are the best because you can see, shows how strong the defenses are for both teams. So both teams will be really cautious, and the game changer was like, listen, I'm gonna have to take this into my own hands now, and I'm gonna have to open this game up, said the game changer, and it was +1. So that will open the game up, and that meant that however cautious you are, the goals will be scored in this next 3 minutes, and the goals were scored. And it was Timmy Abraham to start. Obviously it's +1, so it starts off with 1-on-1 plus goalkeepers, and Timmy Abraham was taking his man on, shifts onto that left foot, and buries it like a proper ruthless finish into the corner. Used his body well, and I think that's what +1 is all about. Also talks about Jardel Sterling for the 26ers. John Terry's team did the same. Blocked the player off using that left shoulder and buried it. So it's all about using your body to kind of get into the goal scoring opportunity, and as soon as you get that chance, hitting it. And that made it 1-0, and then it all kind of, as I said, it opened up. It went to 2-0 for MVPs United, as it was Timmy Abraham again in a good position, has a shot blocked away, but falls back at Montel McKenzie. It's 2v2 at this point plus the goalkeepers, and Montel McKenzie slots it through Timmy Abraham, make sure he keeps himself on side, and this time Timmy Abraham buries it past the goalkeeper, and it's 2-0 at this point, and MVPs have got a lead to sit on, and they sit on it, and they definitely sit on it, and it wasn't the most interesting, but I don't think they'll care. A win's a win, and you know, you got to play safe because you didn't know what Ruckus was about. There's not much to go off because it's a new team, so had to be cautious. This Ruckus didn't know exactly how Ruckus was going to play. Obviously, got scout reports for last season from the majority of the other teams. Obviously, things have changed since last season, but you know, you got some information of that. They had no information from Ruckus this season, so the best they could have done is just sit back, and they absolutely did that professional performance. And it was a goal for Ruckus from a penalty, with Pepaj with a super penalty into the top right corner, and then it went to the game changer, which is 1-on-1, and yeah, loads of scored goals. It was one of the worst 1-on-1s as a game changer I've ever watched. There wasn't a single goal scored. It was just plain, you know. Usually 1-on-1 means 3 or 4 goals are scored, as we just talked about in the SDS Vision one in which there was 3 goals scored, not a single one. They're all just flying over, and MVPs will be happy with that. 2-1 win, because a win's a win, whatever it is, and they really showed themselves MVPs yesterday night as a really strong team who can play defensively. They were coached well. They were cautious. They were professional. They didn't go rushing out into challenges. They were very well drilled. They knew exactly what they were doing, and everything kind of went to plan from them. There wasn't once, even though Ruckus scored that penalty, it was a penalty, but there wasn't once where I thought, you know, Ruckus really, you know, challenged MVPs, and that's because how good MVPs were defensively. But you also got to look at Ruckus at the point they weren't creating enough. You know, MVPs were strong defensively and covered the distance and made sure there wasn't space for Ruckus to feed through into. But at the same time, Ruckus needed a little bit more of like intelligence to, you know, break this MVPs down, because if they did, then that's a goal. You know, your own goal coming from a penalty shows that, you know, really there wasn't much that they created. And I said, I'll give credit to MVPs United, but you also got to criticise Ruckus, who just didn't put enough on the plate for the strikers. And at the end of the day, they got to go to the next game and try create. So not too encouraging for Ruckus, who lost the game because they didn't create, and they just didn't really know how to deal with the game changers, because obviously that was where the MVP's 2 goals were scored, in those 3 minutes of the first half. And they obviously, when they tried to get it back in the second half game changer, they couldn't do anything on the 1-on-1. So that's a message learned for the new team Ruckus FC, to, you know, learn the game changers, get a bit of creativity in the team, maybe via a wild card. But for MVPs, just keep doing what you're doing. Solid defensively, well drilled, a great performance, and game week, and yeah, really solid. And 3 points is done. Wasn't the most interesting of games, but there we go. So for the final game of the first game week of season 2, it was M7 versus Clutch FC. M7 obviously Mini Minter, Clutch FC obviously Chloe Kelly. Chloe Kelly was not in attendance for this game, and obviously she's a new team in terms of Clutch FC, but she obviously did a lot of the work of Wembley Rangers last season, so she has a bit of experience in Ball League, unlike Ruckus. So it's a new team, but a little bit more experience within that team than Ruckus FC do in terms of the players and the manager. In terms of the game, they started off well, but in terms of the season, they didn't start off there. You know, their new team didn't start off very well, but their game did, because they went 2-0 up very early. And the first goal came from Solid Demi, who linked up well with Michael Hill, little 1-2, and ended up at Kawasi's feet, who, you know, ended up faking a shot. Now he's got time to shoot, but ended up getting blocked. And then when it blocked, it came flying back at him, but he managed to control it really well and shot into the bottom corner with the outside of his foot. And it was a really neat finish and a really good, you know, reaction times. It came flying back in the block shot, but he still managed to control it really well. So really good control. And then it went to 2-0 as it was a threaded ball through. There was way too much space. No one tracked Contra, who plays it across the pitch for Lazenbury, and it was tapped into an empty net as the keeper kind of rushed out, and across it went. Lazenbury tapped home, and there was just way too much space, which Clutch FC were exploiting. M7 were defending really poorly, had no control over the game, but going into the game changer, they did manage to get one back before the game changer for a penalty. Stefan Illich, you know how good he is at penalties, really good, into the bottom right corner. Now that is big. Getting a goal before the game changer, give you a bit more hope that you can get something before half time. And this game changer, it was the last game of the night, so they had to end it off with a they had to end it up with a free play for the first one. Obviously, the best game changer for the first half, in my opinion. And it was a decoy run for player for M7. The ball then goes across for Tajik, who's a wild card, and he managed to find the corner. So yeah, M7 used that game changer really well. And obviously, how important that penalty was, to really give them a bit of morale boost before the game changer. Because now they were 2-0 down, but within 2 minutes they're back at 2-2, and then obviously 2-2, very very tough position after Clutch FC were 2-0 up. There was half of them to take, but it is what it is. Half time, it kind of ended the half poorly. It was a bit weird. They started off so well, and it was really, really good football, interlinking play, and really nice to watch actually. And then they kind of threw it away. But anyway, it's a new half. But M7 just ended the half, started the half just how they ended it, as they just keep taking control. Clutch FC kind of lost that free flowing bit. They lost that structure, they lost the free flowing football, and it all kind of went wrong. And there was a screamer for M7 FC's Tajik, who just scored a tap in. So he's like, oh, I can score other goals instead of tap ins, and he showed it from the halfway line, curved it into the top corner. A brilliant shot. If you've got time to watch it. Off the bar and in, brilliant. Carl's one in, and that is how you give your team the lead, and that's how you seal the comeback 3-2. And then the last 3 minutes of the match, it had to be one-on-one. It had to be one-on-one, and it was one-on-one. And it was again, Emmanuel Thomas made a good block, and usually, they did do quick subs, but Emmanuel Thomas was like, no, I'm going to use this time. I see him running back on the line, so he pinged it over the Clutch FC, obviously goalkeeper or player, but he was kind of acting as a goalkeeper in that situation. Obviously, one-on-one means 1v1, and they would took that long shot, because usually they'd change it to slow down and then reset, and the other team would get a goalkeeper on, and the other team wouldn't. And the other team would get like a striker on or like a midfielder on, but Emmanuel Thomas took the risk, didn't mess around, and put it into floated it over the Clutch FC player's head, and that made it 4-2. It was an incredible comeback from M7, really showing their fighting spirit. But again, it's a new team, and they didn't know how to use the game changers, and that was what just like Idris Elba's Rockets FC, that's what solved the game for Clutch FC. Obviously, they weren't great in that second half. They played brilliant football in the first half, which gives me hope that they can do well. I've seen glimpses of brilliant talent in that team, but they just kind of threw maybe a point, which is big, because a point could be massive in this ball league, but they threw not only a point but gave away a whole 3 points to M7 just because they didn't know how to use the game changers. Obviously they were 2-1 up going to the game changer. They concede one. They didn't score a single one for the first game changer, which was 3 play. They then go into the second game changer, and now it's and now they got one-on-one. You're expecting loads of goals, but no loads of goals, and it was one-on-one for the MVPs versus Idris Elba's Rockets FC, and that means that both teams had that one-on-one game changer in terms of the new teams, and not a single one scored from it. So Clutch SD, glimpses of hope. I think they created well in that first half. They scored the goals, but they got to fix up a little bit defensively and know how to use the game changers and learn them. And that's what I was talking about in the preview, that these new teams got to adjust to it, because ball league is a modern type of sport, modern type of football, and it's completely different to your 11-a-side. So you can't just walk in there. It's completely different. And Clutch FC have got to learn how to, the tactics behind the game changers. But in terms of that, it was a strong performance for M7. Were very, very good. And I have to give the man of the match to Tajik, who got 2 of the goals, and one of them was an absolute scrimmage at the top corner from the halfway line. So I'll be guilty of not giving it to him. And yeah, I've been through all 6 games, kind of explained what happened, given a little bit of analysis of each team, what went wrong, what went right, and I think I'm going to have to talk about finish on a player of the week. So it's between Tajik of M7, who scored a screamer into the top corner, and made some great movement, and was in the right place at the right time for his first goal, which is kind of tap in. Or El Mouani, who's got a hat trick, which is, you know, really good. Two of those being in the game changer, in terms of one-on-one. Both of those game changers were really nice shots into really lots of accuracy, and you know, one of them was a really aggressive high press, which is, you know, shows how much of a brilliant player he is. He covers a lot of distance, you know, and you know, hat-trick came bad way to start off the week, so it's a tight one. But I am going to have to give it to El Mouani just because he got that hat-trick, the first hat-trick of the season. Obviously, it was a brilliant goal from Tajik, don't get me wrong, it was very tight, it was a very hard decision, but El Mouani scored a hat-trick, was absolutely brilliant, and um, was just overall, I think, the better player in his game than Tajik was in his game. Tajik was in the M7 game. So, sorry Tajik, El Mouani, you are this week's player of the week. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. See you in a bit.